Hi students, welcome to our physics class. In the last class, we concluded the chapter friction. Today we are going to start new chapter and its name is stars and the solar system. And this is the 17th chapter. This is the 17th chapter and the page number is 215. You just take your textbook and look this chapter. Chapter name is stars and the solar system. In between the friction and the stars and the solar system, many chapters are there. We will discuss it later. Now we are moving with this chapter and the name is stars and the solar system. In this chapter we are dealing with different types of stars and the things we are seeing in the sky. And we are starting this chapter by talking about hobbies. All you have different types of hobbies, right? Which are your hobbies? Some like to travel, some like to write, some like to draw, some like to sing. Like different hobbies are there. You know what is my favorite hobby? I will show you something. Do you know what is this? This is binocular. And what is the purpose of this object? This helps us to see far things near. And my hobby is this, to observe the sky at night using this binocular. When I look through this, what I see the stars are near to me. And that is my one of the favorite hobbies, to observe the night sky. That means when I observe the sky, I can see different types of stars, the planets are there, like many things are there. And this chapter is related to this. And when you observe the sky, what do you see? I already said that you can see stars, planets, like many things are there. And what is the difference you feel with different types of objects that you see in the sky? We just observe. When you see, you can see many dotted objects are there. That means these all are some indications of some sort of things. And when you observe carefully, you can see that some of them are getting twinkled. Some of them are getting twinkled and some of them are not twinkled. Some of them are getting twinkled and some of them are not getting twinkled. Now the question is, what is this twinkle means? Twinkle means the light is getting dim and brighter. Dim and brighter is what? Twinkle. So when you observe the objects on the sky, you feel two different things. Some are getting twinkled and some are not getting twinkled. And the things that twinkle are called stars. And not twinkle are called the planets. This twinkle is actually a type of not a real thing, and that is apparent field, and actually you will study it in detail in your 10th standard. Now just study like it's twinkling and they are called stars and like that. Now we want to study what we are calling all these objects. That means when we observe the sky, we can see that there is having stars are there. There is having planets are there. And when we observe at night, what we see? We see moon. And moon, stars, planets, all these things we are calling a single name. What is that name? The name is this celestial objects. Celestial objects. Celestial objects means the objects we observe on sky together called celestial objects. It includes stars, planets, moon, like all the things that we see on sky are together called celestial objects. So we can define it as stars, planets, moon and many other objects in the sky are together called celestial objects. The thing we already said that we are just stated it in a proper statement. So this is is about celestial objects. I think it's clear for you. Nothing, just remember the name celestial objects. Celestial objects means we are seeing different types of objects. These objects means stars, planets, like all the things we are seeing at sky is called celestial objects. Now we are moving to the next topic, that we are going to study the celestial objects in detail. That means we already said that these celestial objects includes different types of objects. Now we are going to study these objects in detail and we can look about that. Now we want to study about moon. This is the first one. When we observe moon at night, what is the change you feel in every night? That means at the first day I am observing the night sky. I just observe that the moon is full round, full disk. And then again I am observing at the next night. I just found that there is having a shape changes there. And again I am repeating the next night. Again I can see that a change in their shape. And repeating, I can see that there is having a shape variation is there in the moon. Why this happens? What is the reason? And also one thing, we already know that for the shape, there is having a shape variation according to moon. And also, do we are seeing the moon at the same position at every night? No, it is also having position change. That is, we are observing moon at different position at every night. Why it is having such a position change and why it is having shape variation? What is the reason for that? It is having certain reason with the movement of this moon, earth and our sun and all. So we will discuss it later. Before that, we started by saying this. The moon is in complete round. What we call this moon? We call this moon a name called full moon. Full moon, and also the day which we see this full moon called full moon day. We know full moon means the moon is in full round. And how we can define this full moon day? The full moon day is the day on which the whole disk of the moon is visible. The whole disk of moon is visible. Is what? Full moon day. It is the day which we see the whole disk of moon. That is what? Full moon day. Now, after the day, we can see that the moon is getting thinner and thinner. And when we are looking continuously, one day we can see that there is no moon. That means the moon is getting disappear. And now the first question is, what is the name of that moon? That means we are not seeing any moon at night on sky is what? What is the name of that moon? Like the full moon, it is having a name. And now the question is another. By taking how much days it is getting disappear? That is the second question. We are going to discuss that. We are observing continuously the moon for every night. This is the first night, second, third. Like when we are observing continuously and at the 15th night, you can see that the moon is getting disappeared. We see at the 15th night there is having no moon. That means the moon is getting disappeared. And what is the name of that moon? That moon is called new moon. that moon is called new moon, and we call that day called new moon day. So full moon day means we can see the whole disk of moon, and this new moon means there is no moon is there. So this is about full moon and new moon, and you want to remember the 15th day of full moon is what? New moon. The 15th day. You want to remember this 15th day or 15th night. We can see new moon. Now the 15th day means there is no moon, and we are looking the 16th night. We can see a very slight moon is there, and it is also having another name, and that is called crescent moon. Crescent moon. That means the moon that we see after the day of new moon. That is called what? Crescent moon. Nothing is there. We are just calling names for this moon. So we studied about full moon, new moon, and also crescent moon. Crescent moon means the moon that we see after the day of new moon. So this is all about the shapes, and here we can see variation of the shapes of the moon, and I am calling that variation of the shape of the moon is called a name, and that is called phases of moon. Phases of moon means when we are observing the moon at every night, we can see that there is having a size variation or shape variation, and that variation is what? Phases of moon. So we can see a variation of shape is occurring at the moon. That means we can see full moon, then it is getting, the shape is changing continuously, and we can see at the 15th day there is no moon. That means it is getting thinner and thinner. So we are calling this variation as phases of moon. We are calling that variation as phases of moon, and don't think that here the variation is occurs with the size of moon. Actually, the thing happens here is what? The variation occurs with the reflection of light. We will discuss later that how we are seeing the moon and all. Now just remember, we are calling this variation called phases of moon, and how we define this? We define it as the various shapes of the bright part. That means here the moon is like this, but this region is what? Getting dim, and here this region is only bright. And we are only seeing the bright portion of this moon. That's actually happening for this fading and fading. So we can define these phases of moon as the various shapes of the bright part of the moon as seen during a month called what? Phases of moon. This is about phases of moon. You just want to remember the definition of phases of moon. Now we want to study the next thing. Why this shape is getting changed? What is the reason behind this? We want to discuss it. Before that, I already said that how we are seeing this moon. Do this light is produced by this moon itself? We are going to discuss how this moon is producing light, or how we get moonlight. That we are going to discuss. Before that, I just ask you, how you observe this ball? You observe, or you can see this ball by hitting the light from the bulb. First hit on this bulb and then reflect to your eyes. That means the light is getting hit on this ball and reflecting to my eyes. That's how I can see this ball. The similar thing takes place to the moon. That means this is the sun, and here Earth is here. And the sun is continuously giving light. And the region face to the sun is what? The day. And the region behind the sun is what? Night. So, the position where the sunlight is hitting is what? Day. And our moon is here. And the sunlight is hitting on the moon. The same thing happens to moon also. That means the sunlight facing direction is having light and the opposite direction or the back side is what? Darker, because there is no light is hitting. So the sun rays are hitting on the moon is getting reflected to here. That means, how you see this paper? The light from bulb hits on this and reflected to our eyes. The similar way the sunlight is getting hit on this moon and that is getting reflected to the earth. That's how we are seeing the moon. So, this is how we are seeing the moon. That's I just explained here. And you can see that the reflected light The reflected light is because we are seeing the moon. That means if there is no sunlight, we cannot see the moon. That means the light that's coming from moon is not made by the moon. That means for the stars, the light is made by themselves. They are reflecting light or they are giving out light or they are emitting light. But according to moon, they are not giving light by themselves. They are just reflecting the light from this sun. So this is about the light coming from moon. And the next thing is that how the shape is getting varied. Actually, you know, our earth is moving around the sun. And also this moon is moving around our earth. So that means revolution occurs both for this moon and the earth, around the earth itself and for the sun. So by this continuous motion of this earth and moon, that's how the shape is getting varied. That means the position of the light is getting tilted and that's how we are seeing a small area of moon at a particular time and that's how we are seeing the moon in a small area. At some time we can see the whole region of this moon and that we are seeing it as full moon. So by this change in the direction of the light that is hitting on this moon, that means at some time the light is only hitting at a small region of the moon and that's how we are seeing small region of the moon. And at a particular instant there is no such reflections or takes place and that's how we are seeing new moon. That is we said that sun is here and earth is moving around the sun. That is, earth is revolving around sun. And also this moon is also revolving around our earth. And also at the same time moon is rotating its own axis. That means it is rotating its own axis. It is continuously rotating and also what happens? It is moving like this. So that's how we are saying that it is having a shape variation. This is all about this and you want to remember in this area that moon is rotating its own axis. Rotating its own axis, and also it is revolving around Earth at the same time. Revolving around Earth at the same time. So this is all about the movement of our Moon and Earth. Now we are moving to the next topic, and also one thing we have to discuss here. We said that it is having revolution and rotation. Now the question is, how many times it rotates at the time of revolution? That means this moon is starting its motion here. That is, it is revolving from this point A, and it is moving through here and reaching the point A itself. That means that is what? One complete revolution. At the time of one complete revolution, it is rotating its own axis. So it completes one rotation. We are talking about it is rotating its own axis. So it completes one rotation at the time of this complete revolution. That means for one revolution it completes one rotation according to the moon. This is about this area. Now we want to study about moon's surface. Moon surface. When we are reading the poems and stories like that, we are just making this moon as very fair and beautiful thing. But actually for the astronauts, this moon is something dusty and little not fair. So we can say the surface of moon is dusty and barren. The surface of moon is dusty and barren, and it is having craters. Craters means the surface of the moon is having, you can see here some these are what? The craters. So at the surface of moon you can see so many craters are there, and also it is having steeps and high mountains. These mountains means very high mountains that we can see in our earth, that there is having so many high mountains now. So likewise at the surface of moon we can see it is very dusty, it is barren, and it is having craters, and also there is having steeps, high mountains. Likewise we are saying that the surface of moon is not at all smooth. It is having so many humps and all. That's the thing we are just saying. And the speciality of moon surface is that there is no atmosphere present. That is, for the moon surface there is no atmosphere. For the moon there is no atmosphere. And also, now my question is, can you hear sound at the surface of moon? That means moon surface. One person is standing and talking. Is it possible to hear the sound? No, we cannot hear sound. We cannot hear sound. Why? The reason is very simple. You will study this sound in detail in the another chapter. So actually for the propagation of sound, propagation means for the travel for this sound, it needs certain medium. Medium means Why we are hearing sound in this earth? Because here we have atmosphere, and in the atmosphere we have number of gases are there. So gas is a type of medium. Or we are just in the river, and if we are producing certain sound, here also we can hear sound, and there is having variation of the intensity of sound and all. So still here also the propagation of sound will occur. That means for the propagation or for the travel of sound, it needs certain medium. The example of medium is air, water, solid, like anything. That means for the propagation of sound, it needs some medium. So we can say at the atmosphere, for the surface of moon there is no atmosphere, and that's how it is impossible to the propagation of sound through the, and that's how we are not hearing sound. And is it possible to see the? We can see the, because for light it do not need any medium. That's how we are seeing the, but we are not hearing. It is the property of light and sound. We will study it in later in another chapters. Now you just focus here. We said that we cannot hear sound at the surface of moon. The next point is that at the surface of moon, in your textbook they are just saying that no water is there at the surface of moon. But there is having little problem is there. In your new edition and all, they just have it as no water is there at the surface of moon. But there is a problem with that. At the surface of moon, there is having lunar water. You just study that there is no water, no problem. But actually there is having lunar water. But for this lunar water, there is having certain things having problem. What is that? This lunar water means we cannot see any liquid water there. We cannot have any liquid water at the surface of moon. That means at our Earth's surface we have water in liquid form. But at the surface of moon, the water is at a particular state, that is water ice. Water ice. That means our moon is having surface now. At particular region, that surface is not at all facing with the sun. Here we have sun, and at a particular region, the sun is not at all hitting light on the moon, and that region is getting into ice. And there have water ice, and that's why they are saying that at the moon surface there is having water. Actually it is in the form of water ice, and also having certain water vapors and all the, but with the high temperature and all, these water vapors are just escaping from the atmosphere of the moon. We know there is having no atmosphere to the moon. So somehow they are just saying that by considering there is no liquid water, they are just thinking that there is no water. And also you can say in your current level in the 8th standard, it is okay, you can say there is no water at the moon, and also you can say there is no plenty amount of water is present at the moon surface. Actually you just understood that there is having certain lunar water is present, and in the year of 2018 they just found this water ice and all at the surface of moon and all. Just leave all these things. Just want to remember there is no atmosphere present, then we cannot hear sound at the surface of moon, there is no water, like all the things you want to remember about the surface of moon. Now the next thing is this. Who is the first person just go to the moon? Who is landed on moon? The first person. The person is this. At the year of 1969, July 21st, one American astronaut named Neil Armstrong landed on moon in 1969 July 21. You want to remember this year and date, that is very important. In the year 1969 July 21, American astronaut Neil Armstrong just landed on moon, and also he is followed by Edwin Aldrin. So this is the first person who just landed on moon, Neil Armstrong. And this Armstrong is some unit, and there is 1969 July 21st, and he is one American astronaut. So this is all about this. Now we are moving to the next topic, that is stars. What we said about this moon? Moon is a type of satellite, and that is just reflecting the light from the sun. Now we are going to study about the stars and what is the peculiarity of stars. They are producing light by themselves, or we can say they can emit light, and that's why we can see these stars. Now the question is, when we are drawing the sun and other stars, we are drawing this sun very bigger, and we are drawing the other stars very smaller. What is the reason? Why we are... Actually, the sun is also a type of star. It is one of the stars, and these stars are also stars. Then why we are drawing these all are in tiny size and the sun is bigger? What is the reason? It is having a simple reason. That is, I will show you why it is like that. One person is standing here, and I am just drawing one line, straight line, and marking some points here. 50 meter, 100 meter, 150 meter, 200 meter, like a straight line we just drawn. And now I am putting some footballs here. 2, 3, 4. Like some of the footballs are just keeping away and away. And when this person is observing from this point A, all these footballs are in same size. But what he feel when he observe from this point that which ball is smaller and which ball is bigger, he just feel that I am just giving this name X and this is Y. When he observe, he feel that this ball is bigger than this Y, because that ball Y is very far. The same thing happens to the sun and other stars. That means our sun is the nearest star to our earth. That's why we can see this sun in a bigger size. And all other stars are million and million kilometers far away. And how we are denoting the distance of these stars and all? Actually, we are not using kilometer. We can say that term also with respect to kilometer. That means we are talking about centimeter is the, meter is the, kilometer is the, mile is the. In the similar way, for the celestial objects and the distance, we want to introduce something new for talking about this. And we will study that in the next class and all. And also, what is the distance from the earth to sun? These all we will discuss in our next class. So, I just focus here that our sun is very near to the earth, and that's why we are seeing the sun as a huge one. And other stars are very far, millions and millions of kilometers away from the sun and our earth, and that's why we are just seeing them in very tiny particles or tiny points, point objects. We can call it as point objects. That means very small dots like that. So this is all about these stars, and we will continue this topic stars in our next class. Today we basically discussed about what is celestial objects, and we are continuing the topic about, we discussed about what is moon and what are the things about the moon's surface, is the water, and all the things we discussed today's class. And in the next class we will discuss about the sun and the other things about the stars and all, and we will meet in our next class. You want to read your textbook 3-4 times. Thank you.